Alright, so for this first video, I'm going to be talking about my experience working with retail. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys out there are going to relate to me on a lot of things I'm going to be sharing. Because, I mean, if not everyone, most or half of us have already messing up. What I meant to say is, if not all, maybe half of us have started working at retail. So I'm going to be talking about 3 different companies, but I'm only going to be mentioning the names of 2. Yeah, only 2. So let's get started. Alright, so the first company that I've ever started working for after graduating high school really was Radio Shack. Now, some of the things I'm going to be mentioning are going to be a bit similar because retail is about the same way everywhere. I'm just going to be sharing you guys my experience with all these 3 companies. So with Radio Shack, it was my first job. I was excited. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was going to be, out of this world, the best job ever, the most chilling thing, and I was wrong. Yeah. So I remember that the minimum wage back then was $7.25. I believe that's still it. I don't remember, but I think the minimum wage is still $7.25. But anyway, so I got hired as a part-time employee at Radio Shack with a minimum wage of $7.25, and the position, my role, my whatever you want to call it, it was sales associate. Now in Radio Shack, there were a couple positions, but the most common positions was the sales associate and the wireless specialist. Now, the wireless specialists were the ones who earned most of the money, of course. So in there, it was commission-based, first of all. And it was one of those companies where, like I said, the wireless specialists got most of the money. And the thing that sucked about it, though, was that sales associates could not sell phones, only wireless specialists. And, it was kind of like, it sucked because, as a regular sales associate, I mean, you could sell maybe a capacitor or some headphones or some batteries, and a customer wouldn't spend maybe $5, or for a capacitor maybe $1 or 50 cents or whatever. So there was not much commission out of all those things. Now, a wireless specialist, on the other hand, could sell an iPhone, could sell an Android, could sell whatever phone, and a customer can spend $200, $300 on each phone. And believe it or not, every phone was some pretty good commission for the wireless specialist. And I remember also that the ones that you earn most money out of were the postpaid ones. What is postpaid? So postpaid are the ones you have to sign a contract with. So none of these companies are sponsoring me. So AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, Verizon, all of those are postpaid accounts or postpaid companies. So one of the things I really hated about working for Radio Shack and in every retail store that I've worked for is that you have to work weekends. Now, who does not want a weekend off? Come on, guys. Working on weekends is the thing that sucks the most. So when everyone said, hey, it's Friday, and yeah, that didn't mean anything to me or to anyone that worked for retail per se. And the other thing about it was the hours. Now, working for retail, and I'm pretty sure you guys out there are gonna relate to me a lot, was that the hours were everywhere. Sometimes you have to work an opening shift, sometimes you had to work a closing shift, sometimes you only had a 4-hour shift, sometimes you had a 12-hour shift. And Black Friday, Lord, those Black Fridays were crazy, especially for Radio Shack back then. I'm saying back then because right now, to this day, year 2017, Radio Shack is going out of business. Yeah, and I remember when a couple of weeks ago, I was driving by where it used to be Radio Shack, and it's now a mattress location. So yeah. Another thing that I hated about working for retail was the customers. Yeah, the customers sometimes was a very challenging thing, and I'm pretty sure in everywhere, it's gonna be an issue, but mostly for retail, where most of your job, especially if you're on sales, is you're interacting with different people from different backgrounds, different nationalities, different languages. So sometimes it can be very challenging, especially when the customer is not so satisfied, or maybe they didn't have a good day and they're letting out all their anger, all their junk, for not saying another word, other stuff to you, like, and they make you feel like you're the one who is guilty for all their problems. They start yelling at you, they start going off on you, they start cussing at you, and that sometimes is very awkward. Yeah, that can be very awkward sometimes, because you as an employee, as much as you wish, as much as you want to, say something back to them, you can't. And sometimes that's very hard, because sometimes you just want to, yes. So that's pretty much of what I did at Radio Shack. I was only a sales associate for my entire time there. I only lasted there like about 6 months. The only thing though that I do want to say is that not everything was bad. Not everything was bad. Well, most of it was bad, yeah, because I also remember that at the area where I used to work at, it was a very dangerous zone, not to say the other word. And sometimes, twice actually, we got robbed at gunpoint. And I was only in one of them, and it was very bad because we had to lock the doors all the time. So during the mornings when it was much slower is when all the robberies would have happened. And I remember getting emails from different stores giving us warnings. Hey guys, so and so store got hit, so please be careful. And I remember that we had to be giving little devices. They had like a little button that we were supposed to keep with us at all times. So in case of a robbery, we would have to press and hold that button, and you would get the police in the store in 2 minutes, or that's what they said, but yeah, that never happened. So I remember this one specific night, we were about to close. It was maybe like 5 minutes till closing, and next thing you know, 4 guys come in there at gunpoint. They had their masks on. And the only thing I remember was that we had like four or five customers at the store. It was busy. For having 4 or 5 customers at the store, it was busy for us. And I remember that everybody went down. Everybody went down to the floor. And I remember that on the robbery, I had just bought my iPhone 5. So back then, the iPhone 5 it was brand new. So you guys know how long ago has this been. And I remember that I had my phone in my pocket, and since the clothing, the uniform that Radio Shack employees had to wear was a red polo shirt and black slacks. So I remember this one specific time when the robbers came in at gunpoint, I had to, get down on the floor. But when I did, my iPhone 5 slipped out of my pocket. Like, it just slipped through the carpet, and I remember seeing one of the guys that was robbing the phone just grabbing it, and I was so mad. I was so pissed because I had just gotten that phone, and yeah, you would think, yeah, he kept the phone to him. And I remember one of the things was that robbers got one of the employees that was in charge that night. He wasn't a manager, but he was one of the ones in charge. They held him at gunpoint, and they made him go all the way to the back, and they made him open up the safe where we keep all the phones, and they made him give him all the iPhones, not Androids, not other phones, but just iPhone 5s. And yeah, that sucked. Luckily for them, they didn't know that all those phones can be tracked. So eventually, a couple weeks later, they were found and they were all arrested. But and happy ending, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's the only thing I really hated or didn't like about working for Radio Shack, is that all the time, every day at work, I had to be on the lookout for who's gonna rob us, or trying to keep my life safe. So that's one of the things that I'm definitely not gonna miss about Radio Shack. And there was a couple good things though. It was my first job, and I was the type of guy that I was always scared of speaking in front of public. public speaking with other people. So that job for me was kind of like a way of me of developing or getting rid of that scare of me being in front of people and talking to people. So that's something that came good out of that. So for the second job, so this job I lasted 3 years. Yes, 3 years. And it was Guitar Center. So you're gonna notice that in my future vlogs, I love music. I've been a musician all my life, or from what I can remember. I studied piano, I studied voice. So I think Guitar Center was like the musician's Disneyland. Yes, sorry. And Guitar Center was, I guess, the second funnest, if that's even a word, second funnest job I've ever had. At the beginning, it was kind of a new thing for me. I had to, again, a new job. I had to get to know the system, how everything worked, and it was commission based. And it was the most competitive job I've ever had. Yeah, it was the most competitive job I've ever had, because there were different departments: the guitar department, the drum department, the audio department. So all these different departments. And of course, I worked for the pro audio department, but if a customer came in, was looking for a guitar, but then the customer also wanted to buy a speaker, even though that I spent much more time with the customer that wanted to buy a speaker, I also have to give credit to the guy who just talked to the customer about a guitar, that same customer. So it was one of those things where, hey, you have to give me 30% of the commission and you get the rest. So sometimes, it was one of those things where you were sometimes arguing or fighting about the commission. Yeah, sometimes it went down at that store for fighting for our commission. And there were times where we didn't come up with an agreement, so the manager had to, just roll the commission to the house. So nobody got the commission but the house. And that sucked, because sometimes we'll see customers walk away with paying their ticket was $10,000, $20,000 in gear and everything like that. And that was some pretty good darn commission. And one of the things I liked about also Guitar Center was that the uniform. I mean, it was much more chill. It was a t-shirt, some jeans, something more laid back, more relaxed. You were allowed to wear shorts. As opposed to Radio Shack, it was all like black slacks, black shoes, a polo shirt. Yeah, the uniform was one of the things I liked about it. The other thing I liked about working for Guitar Center were the discounts. The discounts were awesome. Like, I could get a $3,000 piano or a $3,500 piano for $2,000, $1,800. So that was the most amazing thing about the discounts there. The benefits as well were pretty good. And the period I lasted there for 3 years, my vocal speaking, my public speaking, so to speak, were the most where I had to develop them more, because it was more important people that I got to meet. I got to meet a lot of celebrities. I got to deal with a lot of people in the music industry. I remember once, I'm never gonna forget, I met Whitney Houston's producer, and I thought that was the most coolest thing ever. I got to talk to him, what he felt like working with Whitney. So, and here and there, I also got to meet other celebrities, important in the music industry. So that's another thing I loved about Guitar Center, the ability to meet people from that industry. So I'm a musician, so I wish I would have met famous singers, but unfortunately I wasn't able to. So Guitar Center was pretty more laid back, and I don't have that much bad things to say about it, because in the midst of it all, it was a pretty good job. And finally, the third job, a retail job that I had was question mark. This specific job, I loved it. I was there for also 3 years, and it was, I guess, my most favorite job, like the best job I've ever had. And This job was not commission based, thank God. It was, and what I really liked about this job specifically was that they didn't really worried about sales. I mean, of course, it's a business, so I mean, sales is a really important thing, but that was not their focus. Their focus was more of you and their relationship with your customer, and it had a lot of very life lessons there, because the principles, the fundamentals they give you, you could apply them in your day-to-day life. And personally, I learned a lot from this company. This company had amazing benefits. They had tuition reimbursement, they had transportation reimbursement, so like, or they helped you, like if you didn't have a car, they'll pay for your bus fare, they even help you pay for your Uber, you got gym reimbursement, you got all these cool, amazing things that they will reimburse you. Now the pay was awesome as well. The hours were great, especially because, I mean, they every so often they allow you to do overtime, something that in the previous jobs they didn't allow you to. They were very strict about the overtime in the previous companies, but with this specific company, that's one of the things I loved about them, because they always gave you room for, hey, do you want to work extra hours? Hey, you know, there's a couple more hours you can do today. I know you're scheduled till so and so time, but you can work these extra hours if you want. So all of that was awesome working for this company. The only downside of that, and like I said, it's in every single company, retail, are the customers. I don't know what was it about this company specifically where I dealt with most of the angriest customers that cuss me out, customers that, yeah, most of the difficult customers were at this company. And unfortunately, I could not say anything to them as much as I wanted to. I could not go off on them, but if you're one of those people that loses their temper really quick, I do not recommend you working for retail, because you probably will get fired. Yeah, so that's my experience with all these three companies. Pretty sure that you guys can relate to a lot of things I shared today, but yeah, I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be on the lookout for more videos coming out soon. Please feel free to send your comments and send suggestions about what other things I could cover or I should cover. I'm going to be making a lot of music videos, covers, even vlogs. So a lot of things are going to be going on through my channel, and I hope you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys soon.